Good day, Rokugan. Thank you for tuning into Fire Chicken Review, where we talk about custom gaming products for the living card game Legend of the Five Rings, made by Fantasy Flight Games. Today I have a special treat for you. In fact, I'm going to be talking about some elegant game components by Luxury Playstyle. You may have noticed that's what I was going to talk about with the brochure that's in front of you. I have reviewed Luxury Playstyle's tokens in the past. They are absolutely fantastic. As a little bit of a spoiler, the tokens that you see in front of you representing the 7 clans I have reviewed, and you can see my review by checking out my videos. If you like, subscribe to my channel, you can see more videos coming up. But if you want to see specifically your clan favorite tokens, highly recommend checking out what I thought of the tokens themselves, because I go individually in depth for each one. This review actually is going to be about the coin capsules that you see them in right now, and a really metal, and I mean heavy metal in both sense, first player token that I'll be going into shortly. So without further ado, let's talk about these coin capsules. First of all, as you know, Fire Chicken, we like the Phoenix in front of you. I have no problem just having these amazingly beautiful metal coins out like this. I think they look fantastic, representing the Phoenix on one side, or your clan of choice, and representing honor on the opposite side. And what's really nice is I love the 3D aspect of these coins. And if you're looking at purchasing any of this stuff and you're not sure where to go, don't worry. I'll be sending a link below. But yeah, I have no problem. I like them like this. But some people prefer to have their coins in coin capsules, obviously to protect their assets. And these are not inexpensive tokens, so you're going to want to protect them for sure. Again, they're metal, so it's up to you. But one of the nice things that you can do with these ones, I can show you really quickly here, is that when they're in the coin capsules, they stack quite nicely here, which is absolutely fantastic. And if you're trying to represent anything, you're going to want to have them stacked versus having them stack outside of the capsules. They don't stack evenly because, you know, they're 3D designed, so they're going to be a little bit lopsided there. So that's one of the cool aspects of having them in the capsules. Have them in or not, that's a little bit of debate, but if you're going to protect your assets, it's usually not too expensive to get these capsules. But an interesting fact is that the designer of Luxury Playstyle actually had to go out to a coin store and get custom size coin capsules, because these are a little bit smaller than your average quarter that you're going to put in a coin capsule, or a dime if you're going to be doing that. To show you really quick how easy it is to put one of these in, let me show you this Phoenix token here. If you don't recall this one here, this was one of the ones that Luxury Playstyle made for representing, they call it the Void Phoenix, representing the Phoenix pack when it came out. And it just easily snaps into place like so. And that's all there is. It's quite clear to see through the package itself. I think it works well. It doesn't shake that much. I think I talked about in some of the other ones that they tried to use previously that it wiggled too much. There was too much room within it. But this one actually, obviously being custom made, fits it quite well. My only small issue, I think you can see it, let me see, pop it up here. Oh, there it is. Only small issue is I found it's a little bit hard to open these. This one is not too bad, but some of them, once you get them closed, it's a little bit hard to reopen it, which isn't a big deal, because if you're putting it in, you're probably going to be leaving them in there, but it depends on if you're trying to have some out for display. And again, one of the cool aspects that you can do with these versus having them out is that if you want to stack a bunch, they easily stack like so. So these are great if you want to put these on your character, stack them up. Makes a nice large pile. Or if you want to represent them for honor, flipping them to the opposite sides here. You can use these as honor tokens. One of the notes from the designer himself, and something I noted as well, is that this increases the width on your actual playmat that you're going to have. So if you're going to be using these as honor tokens, I'd probably keep these out of the capsules just so it takes up less space on your board, because if you have about 10 to 12 of these starting your game out, it's going to take up a little bit more space. But hey, that's up to you to decide which way you want to go with that. Again, showing you quickly here, taking another one. Just comes in 2 pieces like this. Your typical coin capsule. If I can zoom in, let me see, because it's clear, you're probably not going to be able to. If I can show you, not working too well. Let me actually get something here so that you can see the lip here, where you would actually remove the token if you want. Put this one upside down, but that's fine. And again, here's the lip right there so that you can remove it. And hey, here's a quick little preview of the next Scorpion pack that's coming out. They're going to be making a special token. This one is just a quick little preview of what the Scorpion new coin that they're coming out with, just because this isn't the final design, so I don't want to go too far in depth into that. So if you give me 1 second here, let me clear all this off. And I just wanted to show you this real quick. This is just their pamphlet, but they've done a really good job of making this a really cool little pamphlet talking about all the tokens that they have and whatnot. And if you're unaware, I've actually reviewed everything that you see on this pamphlet here. I've reviewed all these tokens in previous videos, so highly recommend checking it out. I just thought it was cool that the company is getting quite large now, that they're making out these pamphlets. As I always liked if you got FFG products, when they're like, oh, here's you bought one of these things, check out some of our other tokens, right? So it just reminds me of that. All right, let's get into the main aspect of this review. I'm just going to throw this down and listen to the clink. Damn, this thing is massive. This is the first player token that I want to talk about. Holy smokes, this thing is one of the biggest, I think it's actually the biggest first player token I've ever seen. And it is hefty. I mean, this thing is no small item. Like, let me put this in front just to give you an aspect. Like, just to give you a clear picture of how big this is. This is like 2 of these coins put together. This is thick, man. It's as thick as like one of my fingers here. Like, holy smokes! I'm fanboying out about how big this is. You're not gonna lose this token anytime soon. This first player token is crazy. It's just absolutely wonderful. So getting right into the token itself. So right on the top here, you can see it says first player. And you're going to be able to tell this no problem. Again, the weight of this thing is crazy. So what this actually represents, before I go on to too many random tangents, with your first player token, you might see the writing on the side here. And if you're like me, you probably can't read that. But I talked to the designer, and what it represents, it's kanji. And on the front, I'm going to butcher this a little bit, but it represents Ichigo Ichi, which means one time, one meeting. And what this is actually it's old Japanese saying that has many subtle different meanings. It's akin to saying, seize the moment, for it will not come again. And it's a rich item with connotations of all sorts of situations, including its use in like military battles, tactics, and political, gather, social. So I love the aspect that there's a lot of meaning behind the design of this token. And the 3D mode that you see in front, this warrior, this champion, this samurai, is actually based heavily on a statue in Hikuko, Japan. And I probably butchered the name of that city. I apologize. But it's based off a statue of a samurai general named Shimizu Yoshiro. And don't worry, if you thought I butchered that, I'll be writing it up in the link below so you can actually see. But this thing is fantastic. I love the design of this, and I'll be linking the picture that this is based off. Man, this is, I can tell why this is so hefty, because this 3D really, really pops up. I love that it has that saying on there, the Ishigo Ishi, again, meaning that one time, one meeting. It's just a cool little aspect. I love the samurai. It's like, it's exploding, like, oh, it's ready for battle. This is what I'm ready to fight when this thing comes out. And so this is antique gold that you have here, and it's a hefty thing. Like, I don't think it weighs a pound, but when I drop this, like it is heavy. And if you ever see this in person, you're gonna be like, wow, this is a big token. So that's a pro and a con. It's a nice size, but maybe for some it's a little bit too big. Like, this is verging on being a little bit too big for me. But I love it. So going into the details of this, as you can see as I go in, like, there's so much details. You can see the details on the samurai himself, the horse. I love the 3D popping, and as the light shines on it, I just love everything that really pops out on here. The only thing that I potentially wish is a little bit of color within it. I know that the designer was thinking about adding a little bit, but went with a more simplistic route of just having the gold and the black, just so it pops out a little bit more. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just giving a slight criticism to see it. It would have been nice to have a little bit of color, but one of the highlights of this is I love the details in this. You can really see all the muscles within the horse popping out. You can see the extra detail of the samurai's armor. And I just love the meaning of this saying on the front. The only other small gripe for me is that I probably would have removed the first player status on the front. But that's because I don't need to say first player for me. If this is out, I'm going to tell my opponent, yeah, this represents the first player token. And unfortunately, if I have this out, well, you can see that it says first player. So a person that is never seen this token will notice that. So I guess that is a pro. But I mean, look at this. Even if when it's far away, it just looks like an inspirational picture that looks fantastic in my opinion. So this is the front of the token. Again, I'm fanboying all over this because I think it's fantastic. This is my favorite first player token. And there's actually two sides that you will have saw. I'll show real quick, flipping it back over. And there's a reason why there's two sides. But before we get into that, look at the thickness of this. I was talking about how thick it is, but this token is just massive. It's so big. I can't believe how big this token is. So you're definitely not going to forget if you're first player or whatnot when this is on your map. Flipping it over, I like how easy it is to flip it over. So bam, on the back, here's the back side of the token. And you might be wondering, okay, it looks beautiful, it looks really nice, but why is there a back side? Well, because the token is so hefty. When I was talking to the designer of Luxury Playstyle for this token, he was saying that not for people being antisocial, but because this token is so hefty, maybe you're not going to want to pass this to your opponent. He doesn't recommend not doing that, but maybe your opponent wants to use their first player token instead, and that's perfectly fine. So what this represents on this side is the second player. So if your opponent says, hey, I want to use mine, you can still have this on your playmat, and when you become second player, just flip it to the opposite side. And so the kanji on this side here, so the writing on here, represents perseverance or patience. And the idea of this is that when you flip it to this side here, you're waiting, you become the second player, so you're going to want to have some patience. And the 3D design of this figure that you see here, this imposing figure really, is based heavily on a statue, again in another Japanese city, this time in, I can't even say it, Kochi, yeah, in the city of Kochi. This is a statue of, oh wow, I'm just going to butcher this, I don't even care, but it's fine. It's a Chocobo Mochika, and again, I apologize about my pronunciation of that. I'll show the wording below, but it's based off of an actual statue in Japan, and I love taking a historical statue and putting it in a game like L5R, mixing all those elements, and that's what Legend of the Five Rings is for me. It's a mixture of different Asian elements that are really cool. So having these custom tokens that have meaning and some history behind it and make you want to go out and find more information, to me, that's fantastic. So talking about the actual token, one of the things that really pops out to me, first of all, is I love the border on this side. It's the same on the opposite side, but instead of saying second player, like the first player, it's just an art. And this is what I wish the front had, was that instead of saying first player, just have this beautiful art, because there's no need for it, for me at least, right? And I find the details on this figure is not as much as the one on the front, because the horse really pops out. But I do like the aspect of when you're talking about, oh, you're a second player, it's not as flashy as the front, and that's okay, because it's about patience. It's about getting ready for when you're going to take your actions. I do think the detail on this samurai here is absolutely fantastic, and I'll be linking on the Facebook page what the actual statue looks like, and you'll be like, wow, I can't believe how similar or how much detail is captured in this versus the actual statue. I love the pose. I love everything about it. Again, I love how much it pops out. This is absolutely wonderful. I give this token, it's a straight like 9.5 out of 10 for me. The only major gripe, again, for me, is a little bit lack of color. The first player stats there, and it's a bit hefty. But overall, this is probably one of my favorite first player tokens. I think it is my favorite token. I would highly recommend checking it out. And if you're ever playing a game with me, I'll definitely have it out and you can see it. So this has been Fire Chicken Review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't seen our other videos, like, subscribe, and check us out. And again, Rokugan, enjoy the glory of battle.